Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Asmi Hongos. Today we'll be covering 7 books that every single creative should read. The list of these books have truly transformed the way that I see art, the world around me, or just have helped me understand what's going on out there in the United States, which is not doing super hot. The first book is the autobiography of Malcolm X. If you don't know who Malcolm X is, he was a civil rights leader at the same time that Martin Luther King was around. What this book helped me grasp was the idea about how we hold onto our ideas so firmly that they destroy what we're trying to create or build. The only thing that I knew about Malcolm X before I read this book was that he was constantly compared to Martin Luther King in their approach to the civil rights movement. And I can understand why people do that, but the guy's only met like once or twice, according to his autobiography, which he wrote. What really captivated me throughout the book was his heavy-handedness and truthiness to who he was as a person. Malcolm X by far was not a perfect person. His upbringing was extremely brutal and harsh, and it wasn't until he was thrown into jail and became self-educated through reading the dictionary and sitting in his prison cell at night, reading every single book that he could, that he became the person who he was. The person that I think most people talk about, which was this like ruthless, brutal person that advocated violence. However, this would be transformed when he took a trip to Mecca. There's this very beautiful quote that really stitches and transforms Malcolm X when he talks about his religion. The quote goes, "Never have I witnessed such sincere hospitality and overwhelming spirit of true brotherhood as is practiced by people of all colors and races here in the ancient Holy Land, the home of Abraham, Muhammad, and all the other prophets of the Holy Scriptures. For the past week, I have been utterly speechless by the graciousness I see displayed all around me by people of all colors. I have been blessed to visit the holy city of Mecca. I have made my 7 circuits around the Kaaba, led by a young Mustafa named Muhammad. I drank from the well of Zamzam. I ran 7 times back and forth between the hills of Mount Al-Safa and Al-Marwa. I have prayed in the ancient city of Mina, and I have prayed at Mount Arfat. There were thousands of pilgrims from all over the world. They were of all colors, from blue-eyed blondes to black-skinned Africans, but we were all participating in the same rituals, displaying a spirit of unity and brotherhood that my experiences in America had led me to believe never could exist between the white and non-white." Throughout the entire book, you think that he's this terrible person advocating for all the wrong things. But to me, he is a truly reformed man, seeing the possibility that happens when all of humanity works towards something greater than themselves. I was truly captivated by the surrounding circle that he talks about and the beauty that really comes when you let go of the idea that it should be this way or should be that way, and that one group or one individual's idea in their head is truly the way to go. After reading the book, I just felt very weird about holding on to certain ideas and to certain perspectives. What I think it really showed me, though, was how little I knew about people who other people talk a lot about. People talk a lot about Malcolm X, and I believe that, but it wasn't until I read his book that I really got to see who he was. This next book is Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. While everyone else was telling us, hey millennials, you're perfect in every way, shape, and form, there's nothing wrong with you, Jordan Peterson broke through the matrix and said, there are 1,000 problems wrong with you, but there are also 1,000,001 solutions. The single most important thing that I took away from him at the moment when I was trying to figure everything out was, 1, stand up straight with your shoulders back to give yourself more confidence, and it makes you look bigger. This also, moved me towards more of the realm of physical fitness as we use the body to calm the mind. But also, I think we all start off in this little thing called our bedroom. And one of his rules is do not criticize the world until your room is in perfect order. There's more in this bedroom to deal with than in any other place in the world. If you can keep this tidy, then that is when you can open your mouth. This next book is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this book, and I actually put it off for many, many years, but I have an entire review on it. And it is truly an amazing testament to the human spirit, our resilience in the face of massive destruction and suffering. One of the biggest things that I took away from this book that I was not able to put into the review was how often we try to move around through the universe. And I think a lot of people feel this way, is you feel so worried about the guy because it might be the last day. For him, at some point in the book, he tries to not mess with the surroundings, with what is happening in a stoic way, because the people that try to do that are the ones that unfortunately pass away. Not only that, but there's an amazing set of quotes here that he often quoted Nietzsche's: "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Also, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment that it finds its meaning. That is when you can truly make your best work. And I think that this is not a book that you read once or twice. You have to read this, I think, every single year as a creative person, because as Dr. Frankl went through one of the worst atrocities of humanity at Auschwitz, he always saw the light, and there's absolutely no way someone can read this book and not walk away with the perspective that there's always meaning in what you do if you dig hard enough. This next book is Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. And nobody can pay attention. I know this video is going to be X amount long. It's definitely not going to be a minute. I, just like you, probably in 2020 was like, why can I not focus? And I think that this book came out at the right time. We were all on our screens breaking our attention. And I think Johann Hari did such an amazing set of research when it comes to our attention. For example, the average office worker gets a buzz every 3 minutes, and it takes 23 minutes to get your attention back on track. So most people really don't do that much work in the office. And that is when you are in a monitored setting. Think about when you're working by yourself in your room, when you have your video games, your cell phone, not 1 or 2 monitors, but maybe even 3 or 4. Think about how many distractions and the way that your attention is being divided into. On his Modern Wisdom podcast, he has the best summary of why focus is important, because when you don't focus, you can't achieve your dreams, and when you can't achieve your dreams, you just feel like garbage, right? The really big takeaway for me was, and I am not afraid to share this, is I got this case save, and it essentially just locks you out of your phone. So it locks from the outside, and even if you take out the batteries, you can't get the phone out. It really helped me with that, but also trying to create a very clean room that will allow me to focus. Another very applicable habit that anyone can do is legitimately turning off your phone for the last hour of the day and the first hour. You don't know how drastically that will allow you to focus. And it's truly one of the books that I would recommend if you're trying to do something that is very, very difficult. This next one is by Rick Rubin. He is a legendary music producer. He's probably touched some of our favorite music, from Kanye to Jay-Z to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, System of a Down, you name it. He's been in your life in one shape or another. What really amazes me from the start, one, I thought he was homeless when I saw him on the Joe Rogan podcast, but also he is the room. He cultivates a setting where the artist can truly flow. And what I got from him throughout the book, this whole idea behind the creative way, the creative process, feels so rigid. And more recently, I have been trying to remove that rigidness, like it should be this way because everyone else works this way. I should work. Should is a very strong word that Rick Rubin, I think, very rarely mentions. Like, this is how the creative process should be, and how inspiration and the creative act can start in many ways, but they always start off as these little seeds of inspiration. I think it goes back to holding on to our ideas, right? Because I have this idea, I should cultivate it and look at it and water it. It's like a plant, right? But if you pay too much attention to the idea and water it too much, it just dies out. Like you're focusing on it too much. So by having a row of ideas, watering them gently, giving them a sunlight, room to breathe, sunlight is the best disinfectant. You can get much, much farther and find the process to be more enjoyable. A quote that really stood out to me while I was reading it, and it just shows how his approach is so drastically different. It says, "Art is choosing to do something skillfully. caring about the details, bringing all of yourself to make the finest work you can. It is beyond ego, vanity, self-glorification, and need for approval. This has become like the calling for the muse for me. That seed right there, it has so many ideas. How can we sit and meditate on what we're learning, what we're trying to create, and not having this rigid and difficult system that we always have to follow? I love his approach, the way that he lets the ideas flow so gently. He feels so nurturing towards everything. An insight that I try to apply now is having no system, having let the idea come to you, sit on it, meditate on it, and try to really bring honor to you even being chosen to be that vehicle for that idea, right? And I think the book is one that you need to sit down with in silence at night, let it take you into sleep. Really, it's not self-help. It's not an autobiography. I think it is a new category within itself. A book that I completely fell in love with that isn't here is Phil Knight's Shoe Dog. Personally, when I saw the cover, I thought it was just going to be some CEO talking about how his rich parents give him a load of money and then he found this extremely successful company. But the more that I read the book, the more that I thought Phil Knight was about to blow a head gasket. You read his story from beginning to end, the way that he felt just completely and utterly lost throughout his 20s, taking a trip to Japan. He takes perspectives from all over the world, from Greek, where the name Nike comes from, to how one little push from his mother when he had like some sort of like mole on his leg and she removed it is the thing that pushed him to go into running and what cultivated his passion for shoemaking. The guy literally started, I think, worse off than most of us. While most of us can sit at our desktops and start a business for nothing, he had to go out there, go out to track and field meets, talk to people, tell them why his shoe was great when he was first starting off building Blue Ribbon Sports, which eventually became Nike. The chapter that was just really wrapped everything up was the very ending where he says, "Have faith in yourself, but also have faith in faith. Not faith as others define it, faith as you define it. Faith as faith defines itself in your heart." And I think every young entrepreneur, creative, anyone that's trying to build something out of nothing where the idea feels like there's a giant cloud, a brick wall in front of you, like you don't even know what you're building, you're just chiseling away at the thing and you're like, this is going to be great, and you tell other people and they look at you like you're insane. That quote reaches that. I just think that it's important to have faith in faith, to have a belief in your idea even when everyone tells you that you're crazy. Not only that, but I think if one other person believes in what you're doing like his mom did, then by far you are ahead of most people. Just to note though, I think that the audiobook is way better of an experience for Shoe Dog. The narrator is just phenomenal and he really takes you away on a journey. Then finally, we have Steven Pressfield's Turning Pro. We're all trying to turn pro in one way or another, and I just absolutely love his writing style. I think that the Joe Rogan and Ryan Holiday podcasts are absolutely excellent. You really get a feel for Steven Pressfield and the way that he describes the muse, the thing that we're all trying to achieve. What is the muse? The muse is that absolutely gorgeous girl that every man tries to talk to, that when he approaches her, he can never say the right thing out of 1,000 times. But every 1,001 tries, you get something right. You get her attention. You get to finally say what you want to say. And she gives you just a minute of her time. And you are so indulged that it feels like the universe is swirling around you and nothing can stop you. And from that single second, you can build something that feels unbelievable, like you've worked your entire life. And the way that he respects it, the way that he talks about the creative muse, the goddess that we are also lucky to want to even talk to, will really kick anyone into high gear. But what I love even more about Steven Pressfield is the way that he sniffs out all of your horse shit, the way that he says, I know exactly what you're thinking. You have 1,000,001 ideas, and guess what? They all start tomorrow. And I just think that that is absolutely wise old man advice that we could all adhere to. And I hate so much that he knows every single one of my thoughts, and he probably knows all of yours. And it's an absolutely short read. I think it's only like 150 pages, and every creative individual should read it. If I could list these in order, it would be Turning Pro because it is extremely short. Then it would be The Creative Act because there's just so many gems in there. Then it would be Shoe Dog because it is just that last chapter will have even the toughest of men crying. After that, it would be Man's Search for Meaning, 12 Rules for Life because it gets a little bit lengthier. Then Stolen Focus, and then the autobiography of Malcolm X. As always, leave your comments down below what you think about these books. Have you read them yourself? And which ones you recommend? For those that are new here, my name is Isaac. I try to help creative individuals find their own creative ways through technology, books, and thoughtful habits. So if you're interested in that, make sure to follow me on Twitter, YouTube, or anywhere the podcasts are found. At the end of the day, I thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Isaac Mihangos, and I'll catch you in the next one.